Hey everybody, welcome to the show. I'm your host, Chad Madden, and today we have a very special guest, John Twomey. He's a private practice owner in Arizona, and John was nominated as one of the 6 finalists for Private Practice Owner of the Year. So welcome to the call here, John.
Thanks, Chad. I appreciate it. And I really appreciate you having me on and also everything that you guys are doing. It's pretty
Great.
awesome.
Cool. So can you fill in the blanks a little bit for us, John? Like how you got started in private practice, how many years you've been in, and exactly where you're at in Arizona?
Well, we're in Lake Havasu City, Arizona. So we're right on the border on the Colorado River. Small population, about 50,000 full-time. Right now we have our snowbirds, so we're up to about 100,000 people in the community. Been in private practice here about actually it'll be 17 years in April with that. And what got me to come here was I was practicing in San Diego looking for a better quality of life in a small community. And my parents had retired here. I came out and we just fell in love with it. And that was the start of the whole thing. So.
Nice. And during your 17 years, have you seen any changes in private practice?
A lot of changes. It used to be, I kind of in the dark ages, my staff teases me about that. And, at that time it was, you got your referrals from the doctors, you did a good job. And that's really kind of all it took. But as it's progressed and actually, fortunately, as people have become better consumers of healthcare, and all of the other changes you're seeing, it enables us truly to kind of step out and really, you have to learn how to, not just promote yourself, but make sure people are aware of what you can provide and what you can do for them.
Yep. That's awesome. So I know before the call, you and I were talking a little bit about some of the success you're having with workshops, but before we get into that, can you talk a little bit about, was there a decline of physician referrals in your area due to POPs or HOPs? And then what had you tried in the past to go directly to the general public?
Well, we opened in 2001. We were the only real private practice that was pushing. And so we were growing, had done some of the usual marketing and things like that, but really we're growing. In about 2008, we had one large POPs open with their own physical therapy department, and they were pretty aggressive is probably the best term to put for that. And then by the end of the year, we had a second POPs. And so suddenly it was this feeling that your practice is there and everybody else around you is doing something and you're not, and you can't figure out what it is. So I took some marketing courses, did some things, got a little bit of a response, but it was always hit and miss. And so we would have our snowbird season would always be our busiest season, but that would start to get shorter and shorter. And so, it was getting down to where you had 3 good months and 9 not so good months. And so we all know the math on that gets tough. And so, really in struggling and trying to provide for your staff, provide for everybody, trying to find new ways. And, things would work for a little bit, but not consistent until I came across the BPTM videos.
Nice. So I know you're knocking it out with workshops. What else did you try to go to the general public with before workshops? I know, like, for example, here we've done we would just advertise that we have direct access and we offer free screens. Did you try anything like that, or what else what other path did you go down?
We did the free screens. We did radio. We would try these small ads in the coupons. We would try ads in the newspaper. I would try to host talks. We would try to meet with the doctors and, do the lunches, and everything got you something, but not for very long. And it seemed to run out. And so it was that constantly, you kind of get to that point where you're like, that there's something else to do. You just don't know what it is anymore. And I knew reaching to the public and marketing directly to the public was the secret. I just couldn't figure out how to hit it, and we would get a few people here and a few people over there, but it was like, I knew that's where I needed to go. I just couldn't figure out how to get there.
Okay. So just again, you and I talking personally, I know that you ultimately stumbled upon workshops. So can you retell that story that you told on stage at last boot camp about how you did workshops and ultimately how you stopped stalking us?
That's a bit shameful for me, but yeah. So I stalked Chad for about a year, and I downloaded anything free, like on the workshops, and I watched the bits and pieces you could get. And this was a year ago, February. of last year. And the weakest part of our company I knew was our marketing, and it had the biggest hole. And so I watched enough of this stuff and I thought, all right, that's it. So I walk in, I tell my office manager, just book me a spot at the senior center. I'm going to do this workshop thing. I'm not quite sure what it is yet, but that's what we're going to do. So she books me a spot at the senior center. And so we get ready to go that day. And by then I've kind of, figured out some of the pieces of the little questionnaire, and I've got some of it, and I kind of put together a slideshow, but it wasn't quite right. So we get there and I find out that we don't have a room. We get the lunch area. So I go in there, there's 40 people, but none of them are there for me. I think there's like 6 that are there for me. Then we're in the corner. So we're stuck in a corner next to an entertainment center. So I got to kind of squeeze in my screen for my overheads. And these people are there to read the paper, play dominoes, cards, and they're waiting for lunch because lunch is at 12 o'clock and it's like a $2 lunch. And here that's thick. So I start my presentation at 11:30. I go through most of it, and actually people are out raising their hands and stuff. Well, at 12 o'clock, I don't even know if this will come out right, but there's a guy and he's off to the right of my eye, and he's like this. And he's giving me the eye, and he's telling me it is 12 o'clock. And where I am, the food is over to my left. I'm here, and everybody's to the right. So I am the dividing line between the lunch and them eating. So needless to say, I had a half hour to do this workshop that I didn't do. I probably did more wrong than right. And I still picked up like 3 or 4 screenings out of it. And I thought, if I can do it wrong and get somebody, imagine if I actually did this right, what would happen with it? And so that's what got me started.
Great. That's awesome. So that's pretty cool. So that was your breaking point. You knew you had to do something. You tried and put some pieces together, which was, by the way, actually doing something is a good first step. And don't get in the way of the chocolate pudding. For sure. So
that's it.
Okay. So right now, you're doing workshops, and you're doing really well with those. I believe you have the highest numbers ever for anybody that has worked with us with regards to workshop registrants. So can you share what's happening for you there? And I think you just gave me the numbers of the last workshop, what that looks like as well.
So with our Facebook, we've been doing the workshops the last, at least last 4 months consecutively. The last workshop we just did January 19th. So we had 82 registered through the workshop. Out of that, Stevie was able to confirm 41 of those. And then, this is a little embarrassing about Arizona, but so the day of the workshop, we got some rain, which for the rest of the country, you would consider it sprinkles on and off during the day, but in Arizona, it was rain. So out of the 41, 26 people showed. A couple of those were spouses. But at the end of the workshop, we had 20 screenings scheduled. We've already seen about 6 or 8 of those, but more importantly was Stevie, who handles the Facebook and does our internal marketing, was able to move at least 12 people straight from Facebook straight into screening. So they didn't, they didn't even want to wait for the workshop. They were willing to come straight in for a screening just based on what they saw on Facebook. So for us, we looked actually this last month, then we had 36% was basically what we consider direct access. If a patient comes in through a workshop, a patient comes in for screenings, anything that's driven in where they're initiating it, I consider that direct access. Nice. And so we're up to 36%. My goal is to try to hit above 40% by the end of this year. I'd like to be at least 45% direct access. I still like doctor referrals, but I would like to be 45% by the end of this year. Us bringing in our own stuff, basically singing for our own supper, getting our own things. So.
Great. So I have a similar goal. Why do you want to be there?
Why do I want to be there? Because, well, there's a lot of reasons you go to practice, but for me, it's stability. It's the fact that, every practice does a good job, but it's making sure that you can actually provide for your staff, you provide for your family, and you provide for your patients. And you want that stability to know, okay, I do a good job and I can consistently make this go all the time and not be, let's say, having other things affect you. And then it's like, oh, well, Dr. Jones was my best referral. Now he left town. Or, oh, I was on this insurance contract and now we can't get to them. I would rather be kind of the director of what we're going to do. And the workshops are basically being able to market to the general public for us is working. I think it's the secret in the future, because people are becoming, I mean, I've been a therapist 30 years. People are a significantly better consumer of their own healthcare now than they were before. And they come in, they're like, I know I need this. They see the video or they see the ad, and they come in already ready. They need it, you know?
Yep.
And
Yeah, I agree. That much better now. I remember like when we first had direct access in the mid 2000s here in Pennsylvania, people were still very reluctant, and we still get that. Even at my last workshop here, people are still asking, do I need to go to my physician first? And there is an education process, but they are consuming, they are reaching, they are their own best advocate. Awesome stuff there. Cool. So right now you're part of the BPTM community. Obviously you were in the hot seat, and you got to be up there with Carl, and he was drilling you about your thought process and how you're growing your practice, and how you're crushing it right now with automated online advertising, driving directly to workshops, getting general public people in and direct access people. What's your favorite part about being part of the BPTM community?
Because you get, I've always been in practice by myself. And so there's a lot of days when you're like, I don't know what else to do, or am I crazy because I'm thinking this, or you got that one employee that you know, you can't quite sort it out. And the nice thing is that feedback and then the support. And so when you go on and you've got those closed groups and you look at it, and Lee Sauerbutz is a flipping machine when it comes to videos. He's always posting stuff, but you're getting new ideas, or you're like, hey, you know, this is what I'm struggling with. And somebody says, you know, we dealt with that a year ago. I'm going to download this form. You're going to use this, and this is how you're going to make that work. So it's like you're almost like you're in a partnership with, you know, a couple hundred other practice owners who are doing the same thing you're doing. Maybe I figured out something on a screening different than, you know, let's say Chuck Schulte's figured out something different on hiring or whatever, but everybody's got a piece. They all throw it in, and we all end up better, and your staff ends up better, and actually patients. So it's pretty cool. I'm having a good time with it.
Awesome. Yeah, we don't have to be alone. There's a lot of other people out there that are going through the same problems that we are. And I even at the boot camps where I feel like I'm doing a lot of teaching, the flip side of that is I'm also doing a lot of learning, because every once in a while, and Lee gave the classic example at the last one, here's how I'm going to change how I'm doing my sponsorship advertising. You know how we all will do $100 or $200 to like the Choral Society. He's now going to have the Choral Society mail in exchange for the sponsorship. And I've used that already. Like,
nice.
And I never thought of that before, but really, really smart stuff. So cool stuff there.
Now I'm gonna have to steal that from you. You realize I have to steal that.
that is a winner. And I even brought it up again. I did a health fair on Saturday morning, and I was there for 4.5 hours. And I mean, the flow was pretty slow coming through. I mean, we've done health fairs already where we had over 150 people through, which is awesome. But this was like maybe 12 to 15 people. And I was like, how can I salvage this? And then I actually went to that, and I talked with the director, shared Lee's idea. And I said, hey, she said, how'd the event go for you? And I was like, I was a little slow. And she's like, is there anything else we can do? And I said, yeah, you can send out an email on my behalf, giving away the book. And she was like, great, we'll set that up. And I was like, I could have seen myself 4.5 hours, but I love that aspect as well, John. So with the changes that you have now, I know you talked about control and stability and your ability to diversify amongst where you're getting your patients from. Like, what does that mean for you on a deeper level, not only providing for your staff, but on a personal level? How has it affected your family? Has it affected you personally, et cetera?
I think it's affected my family in terms of it's freed me up. One, now I have, you know, Stevie's our marketer. She's running that part independently. So that takes that whole hat or that position off. So it frees you up, but it gives me the time to be with my kids, but quite honestly, planning. And I know there's got to be other guys out there like me. It's like, you know, you do the numbers. Okay, I need 275 visits this week, and you do your budget and all of that. And then I would always come back to the same problem. That's before the BPTM was. It's like, okay, great. I know I need 12 more patients every month. Where the heck am I going to get them, or how am I going to get them? And now it's actually the opposite problem. Just with the workshops, it's like another referral source. We average probably 20, 22 new patients just out of the workshops, and we're only doing it once a month. And we have another therapists will start with us the 13th of February. So we're gearing up to go ahead and start adding to it.
Nice.
But on a personal note, now it's fun. It's nice to be in practice. You get to still, it's like a game again. It's fun. It's not like, oh my God, it's like, cool. Now what can we do? How can we do things differently? How do we grow? It kind of self-validates you. At least it makes you feel like, okay, I wasn't crazy for going into practice, or, some days you wonder if was I facing this way when everybody else went that way, and ended up in private practice and felt like I was at a dead end. And it's not that anymore. It's fun. I like doing what I'm doing again. It's pretty cool.
That's great. So rewarding, John. It makes it all worthwhile. So
yeah, definitely.
Yep. Thanks for being on the call here, and thank you for sharing. If people want to look you up or find more about you, do you have a website that they can go to and see what you're up to?
Yeah. It's the number one Pro Therapy at One Pro Therapy. This is embarrassing.
That's all right.
Because I got it mixed up. It's just oneprotherapy.com.
Okay.
Sorry, perfect. I was getting my Gmail mixed up with that. So
no worries. We'll straighten that out. Oneprotherapy.com to learn more.
Oneprotherapy.com. Yeah.
Yeah.
You can tell I'm not the IT guy. So
me neither. I mess it up all the time, John. No worries. So thanks again for being here. And for all of you, I'll post John's URL so you can check him out. And thanks again for sharing, John.
All right, Chad. Thank you very much. Thank you for everything. Appreciate it.
Thanks.